our friend, who goes by the name of Typo, who has a rare genetic disorder.
Wait, so they're going by a pseudonym?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, their real name is Typo.
Do you know their real name, or is it secret?
I do, but they wanted to stay somewhat low-key. But they sent it's real, let's just say. It's been verified.
It's absolutely real. It's been verified. So the gist is he's got this one-of-a-kind disease that's being studied all around the world, and he gets to name it.
Oh.
And he wanted to consult with us.
They sent me an email saying that they're being given an opportunity by the National Institute of Health to name this disorder because it's a previously undiscovered condition.
Oh my God.
And he said his first instinct was to name it Ligma, but he felt like that was too low energy.
Yeah.
And he's been a fan of the show for years, and I think for like 10 years. He said like pre-podcast even.
Amazing.
And
Thank you.
wants Ethan and the community's help coming up with what to call this thing.
Can we know a little bit about what the symptoms are?
Well, let's talk to him.
we're gonna talk.
So they're calling in.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk to him.
And they're standing by anytime. So if you're ready, we can bring them in. All right, just one moment.
Typo. The rare genetic disease haver. Longtime fan. Wants our help.
All right.
Doolittle disease.
Here, Typo, can you hear us?
Hello.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Hello, nice to meet you,
Hi.
Typo. Thanks for calling in.
Nice to meet you. So surreal to be here, and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for calling. Your story is incredible, and it's a privilege, it seems like, to get to talk to you about it. So thank you. Let me ask you this: what is the health issue that you're having? Like in a nutshell,
Yeah. So I sent a few images earlier to Dan to be able to kind of further look into this in like a more specific way. But so the short version of what's happening is kind of one day I wasn't feeling so good, and I went into the hospital, and the doctors looked at my blood and they said, "Oh my God, when's the last time have you seen a doctor?" And I said, "I don't know, like 2 weeks ago." And they were like, "This is not good." And this was during COVID. So I ended up getting a full workup in urgent care because they were denying anyone who had any COVID symptoms. And by the end, they were like, "Hey, it's not if you have cancer, this is stage 4 cancer. We just need to figure out where it started and whether or not we're going to even do anything about this." Within a few weeks, after 8 biopsies, pretty invasive surgeries, they had determined that this for sure was not cancer. I had started meeting with infectious disease because my entire immune system was broken. And it turns out I'm aging differently. So Dan has pulled up kind of some of the images that I have here put together, but essentially what's broken are my telomeres are significantly different, and I age different.
Different being, I guess, that you age quicker than a regular person?
Yeah. So I'm in my early 30s, and when my telomeres are not like a one test standard all for like, this is how old you are. However, telomeres are these little protective end caps of your chromosomes that start out really long when you're a fresh-born baby, and they get shorter as you live. Your cells divide, and as they divide, they just this little protective cap gets a little bit shorter, and as it gets shorter and shorter, your cells either need to stop dividing or die, essentially. Go ahead.
Is this something that you've presumably had your whole life, or is this something that developed? Like, how long have you been living with this, I guess?
So I've been very sick throughout the entirety of my life. In hindsight, there's very clear symptoms, but like no one had ever like put this together. One of the things that would have been identifiable when I was younger is I have a primary immunodeficiency, which means that I get plasma and antibodies from a very large pool of donors to serve as a pseudo immune system. So it was something that was there earlier in life, but we just didn't know what it was. And then 5 years ago was when it started looking like cancer.
Are you the only known case of this in the world?
So here's the big question right now the way that diseases work is we kind of like classify them into like different categories. So right now, kind of what a lot of the physicians are debating when we look at my body is this a rare kind of autoimmune disorder? Because an autoimmune disease can cause you to rapidly age. Or the other question is this a telomere biology disorder, which I find it really funny that the acronym is TBD. And based on the genomic analysis, well, it's TBD.
I assume you're, I don't want to make assumption. TBD on... yeah, I know what TBD means, but TBD on what?
Like the name is to be determined because we don't actually know what it is.
So presumably, and now why is there so much medical interest? It seems like you're being studied far and wide, if I understand it correctly. And why is that?
So here's kind of, so we know about 18 to 20 genetic mutations that are associated with telomeres. And those are very well studied. However, we don't know all of the genes that are associated with telomeres, and it's very rare and hard to find people in between. And one of the things that makes me very rare is that I at one point did not have a detectable telomere on my chromosomes. And then after piles of experimental treatments, we can see it again. We can detect it in a test. And that's one of the things that we have in the PowerPoint.
That seems good. There's some medicine that's helping.
Yes. Well, kind of. Hold on. We don't actually, because there's like a lot of questions that happened as to like how did this return? Because like we don't actually understand the mechanisms as to what happened for it to return. And so that's kind of what the question is. So yeah, when we look at this right here, so this is a test that's done at Johns Hopkins out in Maryland. I've worked with Johns Hopkins, the National Institute of Health, Mayo Clinic, Baylor, just piles of different research institutions as far as giving tissues, blood, and samples. And so what we're looking at here is when we measure telomeres, this is a test it's a blood sample that gets shipped off. So the test that we're looking at here on the left, I've blanked out the granulocytes because the granulocytes, mine aren't special. However, there's a unique identifying ID that can be used to identify me in papers there. So that's why I blanked that out. However, with the lymphocytes, which are associated with our white blood cells in the immune system, on the left, there's a specific note that they couldn't even detect my telomeres. And then on the right, our test is from February of 2025 this year, where my lymphocyte telomere length is now measurable again, which is this is huge. This is how we stop ourselves from dying. This is how we stop tissues from scarring over. This is how we are looking at approaching organ regeneration in the future. And this is everything that Brian Johnson thinks he's doing while cosplaying as a mutant.
Well, that's pretty, I know it comes at a great cost to yourself, but it sounds like you guys are doing important work.
It is incredibly cool. I have hundreds of tissues throughout the country. I exist in more states and in more countries than I've even visited.
How do these researchers request this from you? How do you guys get in touch with all these random different institutions?
Yeah, so when I first got sick, I got worked up at Mayo Clinic, and Mayo Clinic's a really interesting healthcare system, um, where down at Mayo, I ended up getting passed around to almost every single department that there is for a specialty, trying to get a good question of like, what are we looking at here, and it's interesting when you get to meet with the top cancer doctor down at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, and they're like, hey, we don't really tell people to go seek second opinions, but you're a case that needs a second opinion, and we only send those people to like the National Institute of Health. So that's kind of where it started. And then once I applied to this research network called the Undiagnosed Disease Network, I was flown out to Bethesda, Maryland for the National Institute of Health, and they took tons and tons of blood, and some tissue and some skin. And skin's kind of one of the big things that's most useful to gather from me for research kind of throughout all these institutions.
So are you traveling a lot, or is it just that like that one time and you're shipping off blood? Like how is it working?
So the way that it works is I flew out to the National Institute of Health one time for a full week, for a full inpatient stay. And that was a very unique, interesting experience because I got to be a guest lecturer at the National Institute of Health with my case. And it's interesting when you're speaking to a room full of scientists that all of their education together is like more than $1 billion. And they're there to hear you talk about the thing that you're an expert on yourself. So it's kind of one of the things that's so important about my skin out there is they have a national biorepository where they collect RNA, and essentially later on they can create induced pluripotent stem cells for other scientists to be able to research and access these rare tissues with rare diseases to do further research on.
When they collect skin, is this like an invasive surgery? Like, are they actually cutting like a piece of skin, or is it like scraping?
No, so it's cutting. Yeah.
Sheesh Louise. Yes. Where do they cut from?
Yeah. So when they collect skin, they do it from the bicep, which makes a lot of sense because like your bicep grows and shrinks from muscle contraction, so the skin is more stretchy there, and they can get a good sample of tissue and it heals well. I have had so many skin samples taken that I can't get tattoos anymore given my health situation. However, I've started forming a constellation on my bicep.
Jeez.
For where they take the skin from. So kind of my own version of art with my body, I guess.
How does this disease like manifest itself? Like the symptoms of it? What are you experiencing on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that if we were to put this into like a perspective of kind of how other people might understand it, my lungs have more growths than we can count on a CT scan in them, with a lot of inflammation and tumors. My lungs are scarring over as an interstitial lung disease. My liver is scarring over with cirrhosis, and my bone marrow is failing. However, that sounds really grim and doomsday-esque. However, like I'm doing great. Like I don't have much blood inside of me, and like as far as from when I was a normal feeling person at normal measurable levels to now, like I don't know if I would say this is that bad with having like a third of the blood that other humans are operating off of.
So what is your prognosis with is this something that like they expect you'll be able to live with?
So it's interesting. This all started like as far as like a really massive thing 5 years ago. And over the course of these last 5 years, I've been given kind of multiple dates of I shouldn't expect to go past, but this is also something that's so hard, enigmatic, that it's hard to put a date on that. So with the combination of everything, kind of the original number was 3 to 5 years, this being the end of my 5th year. With where things stand and kind of how things have progressed over that period of time, I think I got at least another 5 to 10, 15 if I'm lucky.
Wow.
But like that's with like current.
Yeah. Let's keep it going.
Well, and so that's what's really exciting about all of these like research opportunities is like I directly get to plant I directly get to like plant my own seeds of hope, but like there's so much research that I'm so excited about for the entirety of the world that I don't care if I'm here for or not. I went to school to study science. I chose a career in science. This isn't how I planned on having a career in science, but like as far as making an impact to a scientific discovery, this is larger than anything I would have probably done on my own.
Yeah. And listen, the whole species owes you a debt of gratitude.
Well, hold on now. So here's a question.
I mean, listen, at the very least, you're subjecting yourself to a lot of invasive tests and procedures that would be extremely uncomfortable, to put it mildly, for anybody else. Like, you do not have to be doing that.
That's true. And that's kind of so I've developed a bit of a look, I fully accept myself as a mutant at this point, is how I refer to myself, just because like I'm living such a bizarre experience as to anyone else. I mean, some people are successful at the project that they do at work that one of the top hospitals in North America pays me to poop in a cup. Like,
hell yeah. You feel privileged. You get to poop in a cup and get paid? How much they pay for a cup of poop?
I thought this would be a question you'd be interested in. Not as much as you'd hope, but only about $40.
Oh, that's not nearly enough, man.
Come on.
No. But like,
what the fuck? $40.
Well, so hold on. It depends on the clinical trial. It's not like there's like a standing rate of like poop in a cup for us, and it's not like I can just dookie all the time and hey, I brought you a bag. Like, here's my bucket for the week.
They don't pay per pound.
No. So it's typically like during clinical trials, that's part of the compensation as far as like analysis of when they're testing things in my body. Since it's a systemic disease, they need to test the entire system. And so that involves pooping in a cup for money.
How do you get by? Like, what's your financial situation? Because it sounds like, I don't know, are you working? It seems like you probably wouldn't be working.
No. So I'm not working, and largely I get multiple IV treatments a month. That sometimes they're no problem, other times it kicks my butt. So when I was working, I had a pretty good job after college, and I've been able to. The short-term and long-term disability is a very interesting system. It's one of the most weird and corrupt things that I've had the privilege of being exposed to. However, I have successfully won in the long-term disability claims against the insurance plan that I have. So that's kind of what keeps me afloat, as well as like with the uncertainty of like what was going to happen throughout all of this. Like, I also moved back in with my parents because it kind of helps give them a sense of control over the things that are happening with me.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably want to do the same thing. It's probably good to have a lot of support around when you're dealing with so much.
What is like, how does it manifest? What is your day like?
So the number one thing that impacts my daily life is not really having an immune system. So it's kind of just like having the constant flu. That would there was a 6-week period in 2023 that I didn't know I had E. coli, because I just thought that's how like that's what the normal day to day is. And then the other thing the thing that tipped me off to needing to go to the hospital originally was that I just had like 104-degree fever for like a month.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, by the time I got admitted, I walked into the emergency room with a 105.7 fever.
Oh my God.
Jeez,
yeah,
man.
that sounds really tough. Like for a whole month. So
not that bad.
Wow.
You were so brave.
Sounds like you've adapted to.
God.
You're basically like a warm-blooded reptile at this point. Do you enjoy this? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say more vampire.
More vampire. Okay. Do you avoid the sun? Is that part of it?
So I do avoid the sun. However, the other reason that I consider myself a vampire is the regular every few week infusion of human plasma.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Uh-huh.
Are you a gamer? What do we do all day?
Yeah.
What do we do to pass the time?
Yeah, so there's a few different things that I do to pass the time. One, when this all started, I started reviewing the research programs that I do online, and I have a large mutant like pen pal group that I chat with, like that I just converse with throughout all of these different research projects, as well as like. Go ahead.
That's people with other rare diseases.
Yeah, as well as other people trying to go through these programs, because this is not the only research program in the country. There's a lot of different programs that are available for genetic analysis for figuring out these rare diseases.
So you chat with a group of people. It sounds like a support group of sorts, which I know those are, from what I've heard of other people, are extremely helpful. But what else do you do? What do we play? You gaming? Are you on Marvel Rivals or what?
Yeah, no, I do lots of gaming. I was chatting with the guys beforehand, and then also kind of one of my favorite hobbies is foraging for mushrooms.
Okay. Are we talking about what kind of mushrooms are we talking about here?
Yes.
Okay. How do you find? So you find wild growing psychedelic mushrooms? How do you find those?
So yeah, in Minnesota up here, psychedelic mushrooms are a little bit more tricky to find. They're mostly on cow pies, and I'm not so much about harvesting anything off of poop, I guess. However, morel mushroom hunting season is coming up soon, and I am ecstatic for that.
So, do you get high on your own supply, kind of thing? When you
Well, he's not a drug dealer, so he can get high from his own mushrooms.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Are you capable of that with your immune?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, what's so interesting so I studied mushrooms in college for environmental applications. And, what's interesting is one of the medications that has been tested on me is actually an acid that's produced in mushrooms to shut down the immune system.
So The Last of Us. You're basically like a mushroom zombie at this point.
It was a really interesting
but like in a good
conversation.
Well, not in a good way, but like in a
in a good way, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm the cordyceps monster.
You're patient zero, man.
Yeah. So
we're gaming, we're doing mushrooms. I mean, shit, that doesn't sound too bad.
No, and I mean, no, it's not too bad. The real struggle, I guess, is the staying awake part. Just with having less blood, like you just don't have the ability to stay awake.
You always feel sleepy. That's interesting. Why is it that you have less blood? Just because you're giving so much of it constantly?
No. With my primary immunodeficiency, one of the things that is happening is my bone marrow is slowly failing. And that's kind of also one of the things that I'm going to be researched for is kind of an alternative low chemotherapy approach to bone marrow transplant in the future when it comes time. So once we can kickstart the bone marrow, I'll probably feel tons better. I mean, like most of the problem.
why is it that I don't understand like the biology. Why is it that you have a third of the regular blood? What's the mechanism?
Oh, sure. So in your bone marrow, in your bones, the squishy, spongy part of your bones is where blood gets produced in your body. And then it starts circulating in your body. So one of the ports so have you had a PET scan? I know you've had a lot of different
Yes, I have
scans.
actually. Yeah.
Okay, so you know how in a PET scan, so for those who don't know, in a PET scan you get injected with a radioactive
No, I haven't
marker.
done that. I'm sorry. No, I haven't done that.
Okay.
No.
That's okay. Well, it would be a CT.
I know what it
scan,
is.
So CT. Okay. Well, for anyone who doesn't, you get injected with a radioactive biomarker, and then you get scanned for a long time after it gets injected, and then they see the parts of your system where sugar is being taken up. And if it glows really brightly, that's usually where you're indicated to have a biopsy for cancer to check if there's cancer there. So my spleen glows brighter than the sun and is 15 times the size of a normal spleen.
Jesus.
And so that thing is working in overdrive right now to chomp down all of my blood and to break my blood down because it thinks that there's like a blood cancer or something present, but there's not. Like we have ruled out 100% that there's not. However, whatever there is, there's something telling my spleen we must destroy the blood. And we can't turn it off.
So your spleen is constantly removing the blood from your body.
Essentially.
How can you? I didn't know you could live with a third, like 1/3 of the blood.
So when I say a third of the blood, just to be clear, my hemoglobin is only slightly decreased. It's not like a third of hemoglobin. My platelet count is 40, which is very low. Like that's to the point where like if you cough, blood vessels can potentially like break in your body. Like not that you would start like bleeding through your skin or anything, but just like if I coughed hard enough right now, like if I turn my camera on, you're not going to show my face? I didn't realize I didn't even have it on.
We can. I would wait for Dan's not here. Dan got up. I would wait for him. Yeah.
Okay, sure. I'll wait for that. But like you can look at my face now, and like I feel very fortunate because like I am just swollen and it looks like I have a face rash, and that's really good from like where I've been in the last few years because my blood used to be less. But that's kind of also what the other interesting thing is typically when the bone marrow and all of these other organs start failing, they continuously fail. Like it's not like, oh, let's stop and take a pause. It's like kind of a constant rate of degradation, and that's just not what's happening. It's like we came close to hitting zero, and then it was like, just kidding, we're going to heal and get better now.
That's really cool that something's working, which seems like really great, really exciting for the research and obviously for your health.
Yeah. So one of the
let me see. He wanted to show his face, Dan, but he wants us to see it, but not the audience. I just see Steiny. Steiny does look like he has a rare disease, to be honest. Hey, there, we can see you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the other, I feel very fortunate because it just looks like I have like acne and like I don't look like I have this crippling
Not
disease.
At all.
Mm-hmm. Like I have, I get an experimental chemotherapy once a month, and then I get juiced on. So I gotta say, experimental chemotherapy sounds scary. However, the newer forms of chemotherapy that we're developing, for the most part, are less severe than everything that you have had like planted in your head around like what happens for when someone has like a full-blown cancer treatment.
Right.
So I feel very fortunate as well that like, the mycophenolic acid that I was on a few years ago, like I now have this experimental chemo that works way better than mushroom acid.
It's interesting. You're seeing in real time, like the science advancing. That's pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. It's pretty wild.
So that's kind of the other thing. Like, people always tell me that like they're sorry that this is happening to me, and it's like, would you like? Look, I understand how it's different for like an astronaut to go explore space or something, like to go to space, but I am at the cutting edge of science and production and development of medicine, and that's so cool to be a part of that.
Well, that's the disposition you have is amazing, inspiring, and I'm sure the doctors love working with you too. Sheesh.
I don't think. Yeah. I don't think most of their patients show up and say, "Yes, you may have more skin."
Yes, take as much skin as you like, doctor. So the interesting additional part about this is that you having this extremely rare disease, it's never, I guess, been noted before. They've given you the opportunity to name the disease.
Yeah. So let me give some clarification around this, because I feel like on the internet this sounds like a very exciting prospect, and I like when I was out at the NIH, the first thing I asked is, "Can I name it Ligma?" And it's so scientists are so checked out of the internet. They're like,
"Yeah,
what's Ligma?"
Nobody knows.
Ligma, yo!
That's fucking got him. Did you dunk on them?
Yeah,
I did, and he was like, I don't get it.
Ligma ball. You told the doctor Ligma balls, and he wasn't there with you.
It was Ligma nuts, but yeah.
Ligma nuts. What an idiot! I can do all the science in the world, and this idiot can't even get a joke, a Ligma joke. Wow.
So it's interesting because they're a different set of people there. Like, they find some of these things funny, but like Ligma's not even on their radar.
I think, honestly, I know. So you had this idea to name it Ligma. I understand where you're coming from, where like maybe it's too obvious. However, I also think that it is very funny. So I am a fan of Ligma.
It's funny because it almost sounds like a real name.
That's the whole joke. But yeah, Ligma. I have Ligma. You have Ligma.
And it's like Sigma and then Ligma.
Yeah. But
I would add a hyphen and call it Ligma hyphen pesto.
Make Ligma what?
Pesto.
Ligma pesto? That like you're referencing my diarrhea?
Because of the cup and all that, and it will become
How's your bowel movements? Everything looking good there?
I'm in the inflammatory bowel disease club.
Okay. You've got it sounds like you get a little dabble in every autoimmune disease.
Okay, what's frustrating to me? The Simpsons actually did it first for me. There's that episode where Mr. Burns goes to the Mayo Clinic. They directly show a scene of the Mayo Clinic, and they're like, "You are sick with everything." And it's because you're sick with everything that nothing gets through. And that's kind of what the first conversations were when I arrived at Mayo.
It was real life. Or, I mean, what happened in The Simpsons actually happened to your life.
Yes.
Yeah, here it is.
However, I do have some pitches for you of other names outside.
Sure, I'd love that.
Okay.
And we can pitch too, and we can decide. We
right.
can ask the audience. What else you got?
Okay, so when I was first being introduced to this disease, this is the order that the information was presented to me. The first conversation was, "You have cancer." The second conversation was, "There's no way that you cannot have an immune." Essentially, with how I was presenting, that I also had to have AIDS. That it was without a question AIDS.
And is there any way that you could have contracted AIDS?
So I can confidently say, after being tested more than 20 times, because of the amount of disbelief that it's not AIDS.
Wow.
And like, here's the interesting thing with like bone marrow failure. Like, because that's what causes the immunodeficiency to kind of look like AIDS. Like, it's different than AIDS, but the idea that there is no immune system, that's what's the same, I guess. It's crazy because like all of these doctors will be like, "Oh, you have to be having this like super active sex life," and it's like, no, with bone marrow failure, I'm just getting my bones drilled. It's not actually any of the fun.
You're not boning. Your bones are getting boned or something. No good?
So
So give me some of the other names you got.
Yeah.
Super
Okay, so
AIDS. Chat suggests Super AIDS, which I'm a fan of as well.
Well, so my original thought was, with this being a disease that causes it to look like the rest of my body is 100 years old, I was kind of thinking Benjamin Button cancer AIDS.
So, but Benjamin Button goes the other way.
Benjamin Button, cancer, AIDS, all together.
Benjamin Button, cancer, AIDS.
You're gonna confuse a college student someday.
What
there
about
might be a problem with that. What is it? BBC.
But do we want AIDS in there because AIDS is so specific?
No, it's not AIDS. It's super AIDS.
How about like Cancer 2? Like the prequel to Cancer.
What about something like the Everything Bagel, the Everything Cancer, the Everything AIDS?
I have an idea. I also, it occurred to me Benjamin Button, but he goes the wrong way. So maybe like Dengerman Dutton disease.
I feel like it should be something show related.
Oh, it should be
get it out there.
Dengerman Dutton Buzzies.
What?
We're switching the B's and the D's, guys. Everything's moving back.
Are you into Star Trek?
I like the Benjamin Button.
I do
AIDS,
love
cancer.
Star Trek.
So
Star Trek?
AIDS, TNG.
TNG? AIDS the next generation. AIDS TNG.
That's really good.
You like that?
What an exciting feature. That's funny. There you go, Hawk.
Okay, so I think I made the.
Go ahead.
I think I made the analogy about a telomere being like a candlestick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my telomeres are very small. They're small and like undetectable. And like since a telomere kind of is like a candle wick, where in order to have a candle you need to burn that, I was also kind of thinking of naming it small wick syndrome.
Well, that's pretty good. Just like, I mean, just from like an actual, like if you want to actually give it like a good name.
That sounds like a
it
good
sounds
name.
like.
It still sounds like small things.
Small wick syndrome.
Well, and then because one, I feel like the level of humor that a lot of these researchers are on, like it's obvious enough for them to get why that's funny. But you know, beyond that, I don't know. I don't.
That's
Small
really
wick
good.
syndrome's good.
I think that's really good.
You know. Well,
Micro
I mean,
wick?
like
Microwave.
Micro wick.
Micro wick.
That's
I have a micro dick.
Howie, settle down. You had other suggestions?
Well, they were from, so when we kind of teased this yesterday, the chat was throwing out a bunch, and I wrote some of them down. So we had Fupus instead of lupus.
That's
good.
We had Ethan Klein syndrome.
Honor
Who
me.
just wanted to
Hey,
tease
dude,
your
honor
ego
me.
and just call it Ethan Klein syndrome. There was also Jake Doolittle disorder.
Doolittle disorder is very good.
Ethan. There is fat love syndrome, Oliver Tree disorder, Esteban syndrome. There was also, you know, we were already kind of there with the Ligma, but there was Sugma as well.
Sugma, yeah. Don't forget Sugma.
Super GERD, although I think Super AIDS or AIDS 2 is more intense than GERD.
Yeah.
Space AIDS.
And Goblin Mode was another one. Yeah.
Sir, you have goblin mode.
I've been diagnosed.
I've been diagnosed with goblin mode, actually. Yeah, those.
So yeah, and I'll keep an eye on the chat if there's any other standout ones.
Someone said Fupus Trupus.
Fupus Trupus.
I like that.
Fupus Trupus.
Foopus. So I don't know where you're leaning on that. I can't imagine that we've been very helpful.
Can we add like everything? Like every suggestion
Are
out
there
there, make
rules?
it like super long?
Well, so like I was telling Dan, here's how this works. So like sometimes there's a genetic variant that it's like so novel that there's no question about whether or not who gets to name it. So for mine, there are 6 genes involved. Those 6 genes, if one of the, like, it just, basically the name's going to get slapped on this and then it's going to sit in a folder for a while and then they're going to reevaluate it in the future to decide if it actually gets a name. Like, I don't know if
By
this
the
got
way, who has the power? Who gets to decide that? Like, who's so high and mighty? They get
The
to decide,
NIH,
They get to decide
right?
the name of your disease.
There's probably a group of people, right? That you like propose it to them.
Is it a council?
Yeah, like a council.
The Council of Diseased Gentlemen?
Yeah, kind of. But like, my understanding is like, basically there's a lot of different, there's not like an ultimate council, but like it has to be. Have you heard that we're renaming how we classify different things and like as far as different bugs and different fungus and everything?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, well, I mean, there's just a constant debate as to how we classify different things in nature. So that's kind of what is going to happen with this disease, is that they're going to probably reclassify it for like 20 years and debate the name rather than be able to classify it right away, because there are two. I just saw a pretty good super chat.
I see a couple of really good ones here. AIDS-Stabon. Also, Benjamin Button Cancer, BBC.
Oh, just now there. Okay.
BBC.
When he said Benjamin Button Cancer AIDS, I was like, something's up with that, because if you split it, then it's sort of like BBC AIDS. I don't think that one's gonna work.
That's pretty dicey.
Yeah.
Sugma Wick is crazy. That one's crazy.
Sugma Wick.
So you were also asking about rules. If I were to put cancer in the name, that would never get approved. If I put AIDS in the name,
It's got to be unique. I got you.
Got it. Okay.
Well, it's got to be unique as well. Like that's why you get so many syndromes with like a random name. I remember I was going through when I was looking at the variants of my DNA. They have like how other people have named their diseases, and it's some other people have some. It's very not creative, and it's. I don't know. It's just it's usually just like a last name syndrome.
Oh, we don't like that.
Boring.
No, so boring.
So
Very
boring.
boring.
Like, come on. Come on, dude.
And
At least go out with a laugh.
I feel like this is the dream that the entire internet has always waited for.
Right. You're not right. That's why I think Ligma at the end of the day is the name that the internet deserves.
Sugma Little Wick.
Sugma Little Wick? All right, now it's getting a little long.
Come on, it's so good.
I personally, like you said,
soundbite that.
This is what the internet's been waiting for, and you can be the man to give it to them. Ligma. I think it's great.
It's like Boatface.
It's like what?
Boaty McBoatface.
Bodie McBoatface.
When they voted that ship, Bodie McBoatface. Yeah.
Ligma.
So Ligma's, that's my vote, but I'm only one man.
These Ligma.
Flocka.
Flocka.
How about Code H3?
Oh yeah, GamerStups.
Yeah.
You consider
GamerStups.gg/H3.
Yeah, I mean that'd be great
God.
for us.
Yeah.
How do you price a sponsorship like that?
Priceless.
Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We'll get paid.
Tom got us.
I am.
Yeah.
I was going to say I am. Now, I feel like we haven't also broken into any of the vampire options. Did you see that there was a picture of my watch?
You have oh no, I want to see your watch.
Oh yeah, that's
Dan
on the
is
fourth.
holding out on me.
Come on.
Well, I was gonna do it as a goodbye,
what is
but
this?
Zoom in on
I didn't
that.
want to distract you too much.
Dan, zoom in on it.
Okay,
I need to look at this watch.
Uh,
Oh, Dan doesn't know how to zoom.
well, it's in PowerPoint.
Oh yeah, it's in PowerPoint.
Oh, look at that! I figured it out in 2 seconds, and I used keyboard shortcuts.
Wow,
so I didn't
that's
have to
really
fuck around for
beautiful.
10 minutes.
That's beautiful. What brand is that?
Christopher Ward.
Swiss made.
It's Swiss made, baby.
And that's the
It's,
yeah, that's beautiful with the moon phase all
Yeah.
big like that. It's nice.
yes. Well, it was gifted to me by the Vampire Council.
Okay.
Oh, sick.
AV, you hear that?
Yeah.
I know what you are.
It's so that when the full moon comes around, we're capable of identifying and fighting off the werewolves.
That's good. You have to be prepared. So you have some
Yes.
vampire names ready?
I got Ligma Lestat.
Ligma Lestat.
Ligma Lestat.
Bad.
I think yeah, please. Go ahead, please.
Oh no, I don't have a vampire name. I feel
okay.
like Count Ligma, I guess.
Count Ligma.
Count Ligma.
That's better.
I wonder
Shrek Ferratu.
if you think they'll let you name it.
That's good.
What was it?
Shrek Ferratu.
Oh, Shrek. We didn't think about Shrek.
We didn't think
Yeah.
about Shrek. You got nobody.
My swamp.
Shrek.
My swamp disease. Shrek swamp. Shrek swamp disease.
Chat says platelets. Where have you been, Loca?
I like the Shrek direction. That's powerful stuff.
Jay Leno disease.
Well, that's something else. That's like when you lose your balance and keep falling. And
He does have a lot of things wrong with him.
Tim Jacob.
If you,
Team Jacob.
Oh no.
it's a wolf thing syndrome.
What
It's a
movie?
wolf
The
thing.
Twilight's movies.
What movie?
Oh, how do you remember that?
Oh,
Jacob.
Ethan.
Oh,
come
Team
on.
Ethan, that
Jacob.
was-
Yeah.
I thought you said Tim Jacob.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't hear. I know
Fuck
what
Tim
Team
Jacob.
Jacob. Yeah, she's right. Team Jacob. You're not Team Edward, are you? That'd be cringe.
I'd say majority of the world's Team Edward.
Yeah, and the majority of the world.
All right, let's
fucking
not
wrong.
get bogged down
Just
in
like
this.
they're
Oh,
wrong about
boy.
the Notebook.
Whoa. Let's not get into
Literally
this right now.
not get into this.
glorifying
Let's
toxic
move on.
masculinity.
Set it to the side. Set it to the side for now. We can come back to this.
Free Vitali.
Mentality syndrome. Hey, by the time it gets approved in 10 years,
probably
it'll still be relevant.
Yeah, he's still be in jail.
Usuru in chat says crotch rot. Pretty good.
Crotch rod. That's brutal.
Yeah, that is brutal, man. Well, so
Now-
yeah.
Last two. I got two other names for you.
Okay.
And I feel like these are just like more on the boring normal version. One, I've always really liked math, and I feel like, does anyone know what an asymptote is? If I say what that is,
I know what an asymptote is.
You can't say that on YouTube. Can you button that?
I know what an asymptote.
Explain it, Ethan.
An ass and toe.
An ass and a toe. I know what that is.
Asymptote, I think he said.
You say asymptote?
asymptote, like a parabolic asymptote.
Yeah. We're on. No, I don't know what that is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's one of my. Absolutely.
I got no idea. What is
Okay.
that?
Well,
It's when a straight line is associated with a curve, such as a point, and it moves along like an infinite branch of a
Oh
curve.
my god. Dan
okay,
is-
all right. Too
Okay, show
technical
off.
is what I'm hearing. All right.
He's not showing off that he can Google. I go.
No.
Yeah, please let the expert speak.
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Typo.
I appreciate you, Dan. And then okay, so the other one, I was a big fan of Watchmen growing up, and there is a part of me that wants to call it Pagliacci syndrome.
I'm not with you because I got no
Oh,
clue.
no, but
I like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get
you
it.
seem to be enthusiastic about it, which I like.
So Pagliacci, he's I'm pretty sure Pagliacci the clown is even referenced in like a Robbins Williams movie, or that he is Pagliacci. It's the comedian character in The Watchmen has a big long monologue about how he goes to the doctor for depression, and the doctor tells him to go see the clown in town, and well, he is the clown that's seeing the doctor to be treated
Tragic.
for depression.
What a tragic irony.
It is an Italian tragedy.
So okay, we're gonna do. So what's the other idea?
Oh, it was asymptote syndrome or
as-
Pagliacci syndrome.
asymptote. I think Ligma. That's what I'm feeling.
Ethan is really down for the ligma.
I think. I mean, you really nailed it when you said this is what the internet's been waiting for.
I like
and
Ligma
that's-
Little Wick.
Ligma Little
I like
Wick.
Ligma Little Wick.
I think that is.
Ligma Little Wick is pretty
Yeah.
good, yeah. But you don't have to do so much. You can just be Ligma.
Sure.
You don't need to do more than that, right?
What about in Minecraft?
in Minecraft?
Someone said chicken jockey disease. That's a Minecraft reference.
I'll beat that meme by next week. You got to think long
What
term.
is it? Chicks? Is that I know
Ligma
it's
is
a Minecraft
forever.
Thing, but what is that?
So
It's
in
a
the movie,
baby-
when it comes out, people are going crazy.
silly.
I know what it is.
Oh,
but
what is?
it's
Oh,
a
you know what it
freaking-
is?
It's
I
a
saw the
baby
movie.
zombie sitting on a baby chicken, bro.
But what's that's it? There's no context.
It's a
There's a bunch of
chicken yoki,
viral videos right now. Whenever that comes up in the movie, people going crazy, and someone actually snuck a chicken in the theater and like let them go at that point or whatever.
Why is everyone losing their mind at it? That
Because it's funny.
okay,
You
love.
just
you are
don't
not
get it. You just don't
Love
get
is
it.
gatekeeping the Minecraft.
Yeah, you
world.
are.
I'm not gatekeeping
Hawk, you know
shit.
about Minecraft, right? What's the deal with the chicken?
No, he won't get it. He's too old.
No, you don't get it.
No
The
clue.
reason I'm not gatekeeping it is you just don't comprehend it. It's just chicken yoki. That's it.
Chicken
there's
yoki?
there's nothing beyond that. It's just funny.
It's a very minimalist meme.
Can I
Yeah.
see it? Is there a picture?
Yeah, pull it up.
Oh, you
Yeah,
didn't see
I
the
can buy.
movie. Why are we
Here,
even talking
it's in this
about
article called "What is the Chicken Jockey?"
We need a PowerPoint on Chicken Jockey coming up here.
There it is.
This was in the movie.
Okay.
It's very whatever.
Cute.
It's just a zombie on a chicken. I mean, who gives a shit?
It's called sports.
Here he is. He fights the chicken zombie kid. And he wins, by the way. Spoiler alert. He does. I forget who fights him. Steve? I don't even remember.
Presumably.
Yes. Jason Momoa fights him.
Oh.
Come on, bro.
That's not Steve.
No.
And he starts crying.
Have you seen the Minecraft movie, Typo?
I have not seen the Minecraft movie.
Are you excited to see the Minecraft movie?
You know, I do like Jack Black. So
There you go.
yes.
I'll say his performance wasn't bad, but it was like be Jack Black with every line of dialogue. Like the dude would not. He didn't talk normal for 1 second of the movie. Everything was like, yeah.
It's a movie for 4-year-olds.
I'm just saying.
And it was the same director as Nacho Libre, so he wanted that Jack Black, I'm sure.
Nacho Libre was a nuanced film about love and loss, and I mean, come on.
It's a cinema masterpiece.
I haven't watched
How
the
you gonna
Minecraft
compare?
movie, but I heard
It's
the
like
same
actually,
thing.
it's actually great.
It's a masterpiece.
It's really good.
All right. Well, I guess let us know what you decide, or if we can help you with anything else.
Yeah.
I do think just like kind of based on seeing the responses that like Ligma is. I mean, like I just feel like someone has to be the one to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Ethan made a good point.
Thank you.
I mean, and that's kind of how I've always felt. However, there's also a part of me that's wanted to, you know, I mean, it also just feels too simple.
Yeah, I know. I
Right.
get that.
Well, I
too.
like
Simple-
Hila's variant a
simple is
lot.
good.
But sometimes, you know,
Ligma
the
tiny
obvious
wick.
thing is the right thing. It's just, it is obvious in a way.
That's right. That's also
Yeah.
right. I mean, you know.
That's true. Sometimes you got to go with your gut.
Or if you want to go Jack Black, you call it, this is not the real disease, it's just a tribute.
Or you could go with Jack Lewis live at the Roxy Syndrome.
Fuck yes, Hila. Yes.
That's kind of good. Would you do that? Zach Lewis live at the Roxy
Live at the Roxy.
Syndrome.
Syndrome.
I mean, it's tempting. Someone did recommend selling out to steak.
Oh,
Bro, get that bag, honestly.
Yeah, frankly, go for it.
Yeah.
See what you can get in the pay.
This also
Steak
isn't
syndrome?
something that
I mean, I could put you in touch. Fuck it.
The
No, I've got no
steak
qualms with you getting
syndrome.
paid for that.
this isn't like something that like there would be like an auction for the memers on the internet, right?
I mean, it could. Could.
I
if
don't
you
think
wanna-
it's gonna. I think if you, would you sell it to Steak actually? If they were like, hey, I'll give you like $10,000 or something, or maybe even more.
10 grand, dog. Do you know how much vampire blood costs?
Yeah,
10
okay.
grand
Right,
ain't
yeah,
even
around.
scratching that.
Oh, so you're saying 10K is nothing? It's not enough to
It's
make.
going to
a
have to be
difference.
a lot more
And
than
he
that.
can't work. We gotta
What if
pay. We gotta
You
pay
can
this
make a
man.
crypto coin.
But I'm testing the feeling out.
I mean, that's like
A tit coin.
Yeah.
Do a tit coin.
A Ligma coin.
Ligma coin.
Ligma coin. Yeah.
Ligma coin.
I'm a strong proponent in calling it Ligma. That's
There it
my
is.
opinion.
Yeah.
It's a champion.
There it is. Yeah,
Definitely.
you know, you just can't beat it. But that is just my
It just
opinion.
feels right.
We can do a poll if you want. If that
Yeah,
int-
let's-
So what are the
let's
other
poll
top
it.
runners in your opinion?
Yeah,
other
what
than
are your
Ligma?
favorites that's been said today?
I like Ligma. I really do like the next generation option. That's like
course.
very creative. However, since it's just piggybacking off the name of another disease, I know that won't work.
Right.
how about Fupus Trupus?
Fooper Trooper syndrome was like
Fupus Troopus.
maybe a Fupus Troopus, or just call it Fupus Troopus.
Yeah.
Little Wick syndrome is kind of funny. I mean, with Little Wick, I would go with Small Wick.
Small Wick syndrome. What about
Wick.
Dink Doink?
Ding dong. Look, if there's a bag that comes with that one too.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much money left in the Dink Doink accounts at this point.
So what else do we have? It sounds like Ligma.
We have Ligma, we have Small Wick syndrome as two that sound like they're genuine front runners. Are there any others that we want to include?
Probably Sugma.
Oh, Sugma as well.
Good
Sugma.
one.
Yeah.
Sugandas?
Sugma Wick syndrome.
How about
Doolittles?
How about
nobody liked
Sugandas?
that.
Here's
Jimmy
where
Lee
I'm at.
disease?
That's good. Old timey.
Somebody, I put in the chat, we might have missed over it, but somebody in the chat suggested old-timey disease in honor of that.
Histrionic disease.
Hey, come on.
Oh, what was the FUPA, FOMO or FUPA mix? It was like what's the disease you thought you had, Ethan? The
Lupus.
Lupus, right?
Yeah,
lupus.
lupus instead of lupus.
That was pretty funny.
No.
All right, let's throw it up there. Let's see what we got here.
Logo?
You know, can I? Ethan, I gotta say though, I was thinking about telling you this because I ended up doing this last fall while I was you had brought this up in the last fall and it ended up becoming part of my life. I ended up recently with a group of friends playing through old school EverQuest after hearing you and Dan talk about it.
That
what
is
a
the best
king.
game, isn't it? Like the best game. There's nothing like it.
I honestly, compared to modern games, there is a magic that is captured in old school EverQuest that like I have not, like, honestly, it's one of my more favorite gaming experiences I've ever. And like this is coming from like a top parsing World of Warcraft player.
That's the thing. People who started with World of Warcraft, which is a lot. I went from EverQuest to World of Warcraft, and I think at the time EverQuest was just getting messy. There were like a billion expansions, and it just wasn't that fun anymore.
Yeah.
They added like an auction house, which I thought was lame because I love the way that the economy worked. In that. It was like a real fucking economy, dude.
Yes, sir.
Then I moved to WoW. It's like, what is this shit? It just seems so fucking simplistic.
Another good poll today by Dan.
It was a good poll?
Yeah.
So
two in a day, man.
Did you used to play EverQuest, or you started it?
So growing up, my family had like a game shop where I grew up with like Warhammer, MMOs. We had a LAN center back in the early 2000s, Magic the Gathering.
Okay, let's get it.
Got to grow up with just a ton of different stuff. It was mostly Dark Age of Camelot, Lineage 2, and then WoW. Some people talked about EverQuest, but those people got shamed out.
Damn.
But like coming around full circle to it, playing EverQuest this last fall was medical marijuana, EverQuest, and old South Park reruns.
Let's go,
maybe one of my favorite.
That sounds like heaven,
dude. Yeah, I'm glad you got to enjoy that. It is a magical experience. I think about it all the time, like the first person perspective, the ambient sounds. That way that there's no maps. You have to memorize the terrain. You have to trade with people manually. It was like so fucking immersive. There's just nothing like it ever.
Yeah, I blew my mind. It was one of my favorite gaming experiences
That's amazing.
I've ever had.
So the votes are pouring in, but there's a very clear-cut winner that is way in the lead out of the options given. And
well, I'll say this: Small Wick Syndrome made a good showing.
yeah, that's the runner-up.
But ultimately, we all know what was going to win. It's Ligma.
It's Ligma. Ligma has 54% of the vote out of 4 options, so it's
What is Ligma?
definitely clear-cut winner here.
Ligma.
Well, I'll make sure to update everyone if or when finally we get recognized as a full disease of Ligma. It'll also be funny if I go to put this name down and they're like, we have 6 more already in the queue trying to be named Ligma.
I'd be surprised.
Small Wick Syndrome is the fallback plan.
Yeah, then you just slap
true.
TNG to it.
Or TNG.
Ligma
TNG.
These people with rare diseases naming they're boring. They don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
They're fools.
Seems like.
Yeah. Well, I think from everyone that I have met who is in a similar situation, I think there's something wrong with me in being excited about the science rather than being afraid of the doom that comes with it.
That sounds like a great thing.
No, and that's kind of where I'm at. Is like I don't know. I could be freaking like. Look, I'm not gonna stand here and try and act like I have not lost my shit in the last few years, because I don't know if any of y'all have dealt with the American healthcare system, but look, it's my job to cause. Look, I fist health insurance companies now for a living.
You fist them?
Well, I mean, I know the laws now around healthcare, so that when they try and deny something, I know how to appeal something in the sense that
you know their game.
Could be an interesting business, honestly, to help people. There's got to be business like that, right? That they help people
deal with.
Yeah.
Like
I
a
don't know if
lawyer?
there-
Just
Probably.
spend more money.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Sounds like a
probably
lawyer.
just like
You know what?
a-
Don't
don't
work.
wanna
Just
spend
play
more
EverQuest and
money.
enjoy, man.
yeah, there you go.
But I also wanted to say, I mean, I not to get too gooey here, but like, I've spent at least a few hundred hours hooked up to IVs in these last few years, and I just wanted to say, like, thank you for the show. Thank you for everything. Thank you for how much this has been this massive comfort thing these last few years, and this feels so surreal to call in and have this opportunity. And I'm so grateful. I mean, something awoke in the day that Brian Johnson came on, but you know,
Well, first of all, I want to say
He's your nemesis,
I want
man.
to say thank you. That's very sweet,
Very
and
sweet.
I'm glad that we're able to do that, and I'm thankful to you for you know listening and sticking around despite my my many shortcomings, I guess.
You have a really positive energy and the way that you are taking everything, or at least the way you're talking about it today. And so also I want to say I feel like you're very inspirational, I'm sure, to a lot of people.
thank you so
Absolutely.
much. Just to really highlight, though, as you talk about your mistakes, I actually want to say one of the things that you symbolize for me is making mistakes and being capable of changing and recognizing when people do change. And I feel grateful for you in that, of being like this really healthy example of like making a mistake and then changing. And like, I don't know if you ever get told that you don't get enough credit for that, but I think that that's one of the most amazing and beautiful things. And I just,
Thank you, man.
I'm really thankful for you. And I just, I don't know.
Thank you, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate that a lot. You know, I like to hear this. I mean, I need to hear stuff like that more than ever these days. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Listen, none of us are born perfect. You know, except Jesus, I guess.
Right. That's my understanding.
Jesus was born perfect, but they killed him, so wasn't that good. So keep us posted.
Yeah.
I'd love to
Yeah,
hear
stay in
from you
touch.
again.
Yeah, absolutely. And then thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so
let's
much.
stay in touch. I know you're hooked up with.
We're dogs.
Yeah, you guys are
Me and Typo are dogs. We've been going back and forth. So yeah, let us know what you decide. I mean, I guess you're not legally obligated to follow the guidance today with the Ligma, but I think it was pretty clear that this is where the audience attitude
Ligma?
lies, and Ethan's. But if whether you go with Ligma or whatever you end up deciding to do, please let us know and keep us up to date.
Yeah, if there's
Yeah,
anything else,
thank
just
you so-
reach out. I'd love to
Yeah.
hear from you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for sharing my story. And I don't know. Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck to all.
You too. Thanks,
good night.
Typo.
And
That's Typo, which is
Yeah.
not his real name. That is his pseudonym. What a fantastic, interesting,
Fascinating.
courageous man that is, huh?
For real. His whole attitude about everything and just ability to, like, he's the definition of a glass half full type person.
yeah.
He's really making the best of it. Like
Yeah.
he's out there doing stuff he enjoys. He's excited about the science. It's really good, really cool.